Hello there guys, it's Michael here. Just want to wish a warm welcome to all our new members here at Modern Guitar Teachers, and just apologize, I haven't been as active this week. There's been lots of busy stuff going on. A few teachers and office staff got COVID this week, so I had to pull a bit of extra weight there. But no excuses, I'm not complaining about anything. I've had an absolute blast doing the stuff I'm doing, and hopefully you have in your business as well. Now, topic of today's live session is 3 things you can do in your business to combat inflation. And I'm basically going to give you 3 tactics you can implement, to ease the pain of inflation by increasing your lesson prices. And, with everything going on, the war in Ukraine, the whole pandemic the last 2 years, the supply chain issues that it has caused, everyone is feeling the pinch. And, we can point at our governments, we can point at China, we can point at shipping containers and ships getting stuck in canals and things like that. But no matter who we point the finger at, no matter who we blame, at the end of the day, no one is coming to save us. And it's up to us, to take control of our businesses, of our lives, of our destinies, and, take control and essentially take action to overcome inflation. Now, it is, I'm not going to say the highest inflation's ever been, at least in my lifetime it is, but there's always been cycles of big periods of inflation, and it's just something that happens from time to time, unfortunately. And inflation being a negative feedback loop, prices go up because of inflation, then I raise my prices because I need to cover, the price of wages going up, the cost of goods, and then everyone else has to raise their prices just to keep up. And it becomes a negative feedback loop where prices just go up and up and up. So what we need to do, unfortunately, is a couple of different things in our businesses to, combat the inflation. And a lot of people are, nervous about raising their prices. That is one of the things we can do, and one of the things which I'm going to advise. But we need to basically, get over our uneasiness about wanting more money and get over that fear of asking for more money. It's not very good. And we as musicians generally don't like thinking about money, don't like talking about money, don't like charging what we're worth, or don't even believe, in charging for music lessons. If that's your mentality about money and pricing and lessons, that's something that's got to change. And you need to learn to know money. Money is a tool, it's a resource, it's something you can use to get ahead in life. And I'm not going to harp on about, the value of money, but I do want to give you 3 tips that you can use in your business to get ahead of the inflation curve. And basically the first tip that I have for you is to include an annual price increase in your lesson policy. And basically smart guitar teachers and music studio owners have a lesson policy in place. And that basically puts forward all the rules about payment and tuition fees, for your students to help avoid, any confusion, any body fighting over prices or anything like that, or any disputes about payment. So if you're smart, you've got a lesson policy in place. Now, if you're really smart, what you want to do is put a annual price increase in your lesson policy. And that way, once a year on the same date, every one of your students starts paying more for their lessons. And I recommend having a price increase of between 2 and 3%, just worded into your lesson contract so that students just expect that it's going to go up. Now, with inflation, I think in the US at the moment, it's like 8 or 9%, maybe even higher at the moment. A 2 or 3% change isn't going to combat that all that much. However, a 2 to 3%, increase in your lesson fees is going to cover the average 1.8 to 2% of inflation. I know Australia's got like an average annual 1.8% inflation rate. So by being 2%, 3%, my one is 3% in my studio, that more than covers that and generates a little bit of profit. Now, should you have like a 5% increase, you probably can get away with it in some instances if your customers are really happy, or, you just have it in there and they don't read it. But 5%'s pretty steep for guitar lessons. Not saying you can't do it. We just don't want to use that as a means of generating revenue and kind of, sneaking in price increases. We want to have it kind of fair, and that 2 to 3% increase is a really good way of going about that. So tactic number 1 is to include a price increase in your lesson policy and increase your prices annually by 2 to 3%. Now, the second tactic you need to do is just flat up increase your prices right now for all new students starting forward. So All of your current students, they can stay at their current price. Maybe you consider doing a small 2 to 3% price increase. But for anyone starting lessons with you from today onwards, effective immediately, they are going to be paying a brand new rate. And once again, if inflation's gone up by 7% or 9% or 10% in your area, consider just raising your prices by 10% to put you square with the inflation right then and there. Now, depending on how much you already charge, that might get you back to where you want to be. But if you are undercharging for your lessons, and I know many music teachers here are, because you get, once again, hang up about asking for more money or you don't charge what you're worth. What you need to do is just have a think about, am I happy with how much I'm being paid? Am I charging enough for my lessons? Am I charging what I'm truly worth? If the answer is no to any of those questions, what you need to do is to start charging what you're worth. So have a think about, what you want to be paid per hour or per month or per lesson, whatever it is. What do you want to get paid for your time and your effort and your lessons? And then start charging that price for all new students. Now, you can't just make up a crazy number because you want to get paid more money. You have to be able to justify that, and students need to see the value in what you do so that they pay for that value. You can't just say, I want to make $500 an hour and then expect the average person is going to pay that. It doesn't work that way. But can you charge significantly more than what you are? Most definitely. And if you want help with learning how to do that, hit up the 6-figure program, go to www.michaelgumley.com. And I help guide you through the process of positioning yourself as an expert and creating really, really valuable programs so that your students love and, don't have any qualms about paying you more money, that they're happy to do so because they see the value in what you're doing. But effective immediately, you want to increase your prices for all new students coming in. And you can experiment with prices. This is something that, I did. Let's say I used to charge $30 for an hour lesson. At some point, I started charging $35 and people were happy to pay that. And I started charging $40 and people were happy to pay that. And I started charging $50. And now I charge about $120 per hour, sometimes even up to $200, depending on who is sitting in front of me and what they're going for in terms of a per hour lesson. So what you should do is experiment with your lesson pricing. Obviously charge to what you think you're worth, but you can maybe even go a little bit higher than that sometimes. You just got to basically be willing to lose a sale or to fall back on a discounted price if they're not going to pay what you're asking, and keep on pushing until you find that tier of what people are happy to pay. And more often than not, it's a lot more money than what you think they are willing to pay. So never let people eliminate them. You should never eliminate people based on price and your perception of what they're willing to pay. Let the market and let your customers decide that. Now, inflation killer number 3 is kind of along the lines of this, and that is to offer upsells as you go. So a lot of people, guitar teachers, anyone in business, makes the mistake of going, okay, I'm going to charge this much per hour, and that's my lesson rate. And what happens if you get like 10 students, there's a good chance that 4 of them are happy to pay more than that. 50% of them, are happy with the price or would rather pay less. But there's probably one person, or at least one person in 100, who's going to happily pay you double. The only reason they don't pay you more money is because you didn't ask for more money and you didn't provide them with an opportunity. So this is where you want to include an upsell in your lesson offer. So for example, all of your current students, if you need to make more money from them to keep up with inflation, you should go, okay guys, well, I've got a video database, and if you want access to it, it's an extra $10 a month. If you've got 30 students, that's not many, but if you've got 50 students, so I should say if you've got 10 students, that's an extra $100. That might not be life-changing for you, but for some of you, it might be. It might be the difference between buying yourself a new guitar pedal every month or something like that. But if you've got 30 students, 50 students, and you're charging maybe $30 or $50 for a database rather than just $10, you start to get some pretty big numbers. You could have a once a month theory session, and it's just an extra $50 to attend that theory session. And again, if you've got 10 students, that's an extra $500 per month. If you've got 50 students, that's getting to those big numbers once again. And then you can have entirely different programs. So you come in for a normal guitar lesson and you can say, hey, I want my top 10 students to pay me an extra $100 per month to do a band workshop with me every fortnight, things like that. So you probably have the ability to generate a lot more money from the current students you already have on your roster. The only reason you're not is because you haven't asked them and you haven't provided them with the opportunity to do so. And I guarantee you the certain percentage of your student cohort, whether we're in the middle of a pandemic, whether we're in the middle of a war, whether inflation's at an all-time high, are going to be happy to pay you the money when they see value in what you do. So guys, that's pretty much 3 ways you can beat inflation in your business. To refresh those, number 1 was basically to have an annual price increase written into your lesson policies that prices go up by 2 to 3% every single year. You can try and get a little bit more than that, but 2 to 3 is a pretty nice even number there. The second thing you can do is start increasing your prices for all new students moving forward from here onwards. That's a very powerful thing to do. And of course, the third thing that you want to do is offer an upsell of some kind. Get everyone coming a second time per week. Get a certain number of students buying a book from you or subscribing to a database, or if some of you have Patreon, subscribing to your Patreon for some extra bonus content, whatever it happens to be. Little things like that, little numbers when you have enough people and you scale it, add up to big numbers. So you want to try and get those things. So guys, I hope this has been extremely helpful. I'll probably be linking an article with a whole bunch of written things to this in the chat below. If you could share that around with a couple of your guitar teachers. And if there's any other problems that you guys are having in your businesses that you need help with financially, teaching wise, and everything in between, leave those in the comment, post them in the group here, and I would be happy to address them, in a future live video. So thanks for tuning in. Stay safe for all my Aussie friends. Have a happy Anzac Day long weekend, and everyone everywhere else in the world. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.